Survival games are something that is always welcomed on this channel because it gets a lot of interaction, a lot of views, and people are overall interested. Why? Because it's kind of fun to survive in wilds. Yes, today's game is called Survive the Wilds, and the short name is Smalland, which is the latest cooperative survival game that has been released by Merge Games into early access. First of all, I need to say that once again, this is an early access game, so you don't need to expect something really very well polished here. You need to understand the basic idea and that the game is playable at this point. The game provides an entertaining experience despite with some noticeable flaws. But before we dive deep into the world of the game, and to understand better the game, I need to ask you one small favor. If you're not a subscriber of this channel, please press the subscribe button as it will help really our team. So, if we are ready, we can begin. The game starts with the tutorial and its instances. It doesn't clearly explain you everything, that you need to pick up the materials, for example, from the ground or from breaking items to collect them. Everything here comes with a little bit of your thinking. That applies to all the materials in the game, which you could causally hindrance on the new players. However, this is not a significant issue, to be honest, because the players will really get used to it. And especially, we're talking about the genre where people really adapt and play the game their own way. Well, the recent forest is the greatest example for that. The steering area is full of materials to help the player to get started, understand the game, and basically to test it. And they can even have some basic armor made by the one of the NPCs. After collecting such as much of the material as possible, players should consider building a home or a shelter, which is basically something that is very basic for all of the survival games, and a place to put their bed. While the game tries to follow the stability realism, players can still leave their houses in the air to protect them from enemies. Yes, it's a fun aspect. The house can also store all the necessary items that players need to, including food. Players need to watch their nurseries, which slowly decreasing during the day. Players can cook and eat different types of insects or kind of mushrooms depending on what they have to collect. If I had to complain, I would say, well, I would not eat that. Anyway, it's all jokes. Players need to collect materials and find other insects to have them in right gear. Also, this game really reminded me Grounded, which is also something that has similar kind of survival equipment type, and everything is kind of similar. Well, the storyline was a little bit different to Grounded, but we all know that Grounded took a lot of time to develop into the game that was released. You need to collect a different kind of experience here, because you can start the game playing with the hatchet or sword or the hammer. Maybe you want to get torch, or you want a sword being the best starting weapon. I would actually recommend a hammer. Yes, it is strange, but from my experience it was the best one. Equipment can be repaired, for example, which is cheaper than making a new one. The game has interesting mechanic called a grand trees, which is not actually mechanic, but is basically big trees that players can climb on and claim them as their own. Climbing the top of the trees keeps the player safe from enemies, but there is no real benefit being on top of the tree, especially if players are not playing in multiple servers. While the game has a quick way up and down the tree, there is a still real use to it. The tutorial needs to be updated to be more specific about how to get started and emphasizing on the building a home, for example, base, or getting set up a harsh weather conditions, and the various enemies. For example, if you want to do something, you need to say it. Overall, I think it's worth to mention that Smalland Survive the Wilds is a solid game given its low price, and especially it's a still early access game. There is a plenty of work that need to be done here, but I feel like this is the type of game that will be really very well implemented and improved, because Merge Games before really always surprised us with the good results. For instance, the player should be able to sleep, for example, in a bed away from their spawn point, making it without the new kind of like a bad spawn point. Gathering the materials should also be a straightforward process, but this is only my kind of like opinion here. I feel like this is something that maybe for some people would be used to more like an old system, which is basically is now. Despite all these flaws, I think the game provides a lot of fun and entertaining experience, and players can enjoy collecting all these materials, making their home bases, and everything like that. The fun fact here that I didn't mention a lot, that this is cooperative basically game. You can join with some players, some friends, you gain new friends, something similar to I would say DayZ, in a completely different setting obviously. I need to say that I feel like if you have good friends, if you have a couple of friends that really love the genre, the game will be really interesting for you. And there is no way that you will not find it kind of fun. The fun is guaranteed in this game. So if I would rank this game from, let's say, 1 to 10, I think it's a war thing like something like 7.5. Yeah, a bit harsh, but the game deserves it. Believe me, it is fun. To sum it up, if you're not a subscriber of this channel, please be one, because in the next video we will have something special. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao guys.